Now, less people died on South Africa's roads over the festive season compared to the previous year. Between December the 1st and January the 11th of this year, 1,448 people died. That was just over 1,200 fatal crashes. Now, overall, it represents a 7% decline in fatalities and a 10% decline in actual fatal crashes. Well, the Automobile Association says overall the reduction in fatalities must be seen in the context of less traffic. To discuss, we're joined by spokesperson Layton Beard. Layton, thank you. How much of this can we attribute then to curfews, to less alcohol sales, to beaches being closed, to lockdown regulations?
Good evening, Francis. I think firstly we need to just put it in context that the figure given by the Minister this morning still has to go through a 30-day observation period, and that number of 1,488 may actually increase in the next couple of weeks. But certainly I think the fact that there's been less traffic on the roads has meant that we've seen a reduction in those fatalities. By the Minister's own reckoning, on social media, we've seen around about a 10% reduction in the number of in the traffic volumes. So that reduction is obviously very relatable and correlates with a 10% reduction in fatalities. But I think more importantly, Francis, we've lost 1,500 people on our roads during this period, and there's no cause for celebration. I think we are still extremely concerned about that.
So there's no sign of actual improvement. There's nothing that drivers are doing better or authorities are doing better here?
No, and I think that when you look at the figures from 2018 and 2017 and 2016, we're beginning obviously to see that pattern is being repeated. We are looking for some significant reductions in fatality numbers, significant reduction in fatal crashes, and that's just not happening. When you look at a 5% reduction here or a 7% reduction there, and then the next year it goes up by 4 or 5%, I think the trend is that we are remaining static in terms of the numbers of people who die on our roads, and it's just simply not good enough.
Layton, so what are the main causes of accidents? Just run us through some of the trends, because the Minister was saying a decline of 5% in pedestrian fatalities, but then on the other hand, more drivers and more passengers are dying.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the pedestrian figures, Francis, it's around 35 to 40% of all deaths on our roads are pedestrians. And certainly we would like to see a lot more intervention in terms of dealing with pedestrians. Do they have safe places to cross over busy roads? Are all the roads that pedestrians are walking on lit properly? Are there safe places for them to walk on the side of the road, away from the traffic? So these are some of the interventions that we talk about. Yes, I mean, we've seen a reduction in the number of pedestrians, but we need to see what that figure is annually when the annual statistics for 2020 are released later this year. Our concern is, Francis, is that we are making nominal differences to fatality figures when there is a huge problem on our doorstep and we need to fix it. And the interventions that we are using at the moment, in our opinion, are misguided and are not going to hit the target that we want to achieve.
I mean, when pedestrians wouldn't a campaign about the clothes you should wear, about wearing light clothes, be able to make a huge difference. I haven't seen any high-profile campaigns like that unless I've missed them.
Well, the AA did have a campaign about a year and a half ago called I See You, where we tried to hand out visibility sashes to a number of people, and we did. We were very successful in handing them out. Unfortunately, we're an NPO, and we would need to get a lot more funding to reach the entire population definitely a lot more pedestrians that are on the road. But this is something that we're talking about, Francis, and I concur 100% with you. It's not only about making pedestrians visible, but, it's about the infrastructure that goes along with it. When you consider people are being dropped off about 1 kilometre from where they work, and they've got to walk that last kilometre to work, is that road properly lit in winter when at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning it's still dark outside? Are we providing that type of infrastructure? Are the roads on which these pedestrians are walking safe? And are they safe for motorists and for pedestrians? So that's the type of problem we face with. And again, I'll say the efforts that we have at the moment, we believe are misguided and are not going to hit the mark.
All right, looking at the stats, Layton, minibus taxis accounted for 8.2% of fatal crashes. Now, if you look at the previous year, that figure was above 11%. Coming down to 8.2, can we at least welcome that?
Look, I think any reductions are to be welcomed, Francis. But again, the bigger issue for us is the whole picture. And that whole picture is that we've got a horrendous situation on our hands. We view the national deaths, the annual deaths on our roads, as a national disaster. Over the last 10 years, we've lost 140,000 people to road crashes in our country. We need some urgent intervention here. And there are plans on the table to deal with it. There are recommendations to deal with this more effectively. And at the moment, these recommendations are not being implemented. Instead, we're looking at other interventions, changing of legislation, and those types of interventions that are on the table are not going to make a difference. We need to look at this as a whole picture, and we need to look at the recommendations that have been put there by experts to say, this is something that we can implement, it's practical, and it's actually going to save lives.
All right, thank you very much. That was Layton Beard, spokesperson for the Automobile Association. And of course, we'll see if we can get a response from government. The AA saying that this is a national disaster that is not being addressed, certainly with any efficiency. Now, the 4 healthcare